Here's Brody Brazil.
What do you want to do with the A's situation? Do we both just let this go? I get a lot of comments here on this YouTube channel from some people who are like, dude, it's over for Oakland. Like, you're just beating a dead horse. And I'm like, this is a story that's not complete. This is like watching a baseball game, even though the other team took the lead. This is like not watching it until the final out. So why would I stop what I'm doing right now? I cover it a lot less. I certainly care about it a lot less, having, less to gain from it or less connections to it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like this stuff's not happening. We're talking about it. I'm making a video about, the A's in Las Vegas and Sacramento. How much do you see yourself covering this anymore or being a part of the whole process?
I think until it's over, especially until shovels are in the ground at the very least in Vegas.
Right.
You have to keep following it. This is a story. It continues to be a story, good or bad. It's still something that is going on that has a major impact in Major League Baseball, a major impact in a lot of people's lives growing up A's fans and growing up like with the love of green and gold in Oakland. I think it's still very much a story. Now you have to remember, this is why I don't tweet that much about like politics on my Twitter account, despite the fact I work in politics now, because everybody that follows me on there is following me for A's stuff and baseball stuff and sports stuff. So I'm not going to force feed them something they don't want.
Right.
And that's very much like your YouTube channel and mine too, is every now and then you'll get the troll comments like, it's over, stop talking about it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, but that's one person,
right,
and maybe 5 people, whoever in the comments, whereas thousands and thousands and thousands of people are
have
following
viewed it
for
and
that
enjoyed
very
it.
subject,
exactly,
and want to hear more about it. And crazy, but the more granular you get on things, the more people like it. I could sit here and talk about the 49ers and the Warriors and the Sharks and the Raiders and everything else because I follow all that stuff too. But no one wants to hear my opinion about that stuff, really. So the more granular you get on a subject, the more people are invested because they want to go to you. They want you to be the person telling them what is important because you're following it closer and talking to more people than anybody else. And so I found that to be a really interesting thing about new media. Obviously the Niners are far more popular than the A's, but if I just sat here and talked about the 49ers, I don't think anybody would like it. So I stick to what I like to stick to, and I will cover this till the end. I will ask you this, and this is a funny way to end maybe, but
yeah.
When I went to Sacramento that day, the A's put out a press release for a press conference. They gave us literally not enough time for any Bay Area media member to make it on time. I had managed to make it on time. I had someone save me a seat front and center.
Yep.
Afterwards, to their credit, and I give the A's a lot of credit for lots of things, right? I'm not sitting here just bashing them just for everything. Cavill was there. Fisher literally ran out before anybody could talk to him, but Dave stuck around and he went up to a suite with the entire A's front office and they called me and said, come on up, let's talk. So I went up there and I talked to him for a long time. You see a lot of the stuff on YouTube. It was on ABC 10 and ABC 7 and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But afterwards, as I was walking out, and this is where my question's going in a long-winded way, a bunch of the front office people were standing there by the door as I was leaving. They're like, all right, so you're going to come visit us in Sacramento, right? And I was like, nope. And they're like, oh, okay. Are you going to come visit us in Vegas? And I said, literally, I said this. I said, you could not pay me enough money to go to Las Vegas. And then I walked out the door and everyone's like, oh, okay. But really, I don't foresee any situation that brings me to going to an A's game in Sacramento in any way unless I'm literally working and I have to do it. How do you feel about the Sacramento A's?
Exact same way. And I'm not trying to copy your answer, but I think I have to separate it first off by saying personally, will I watch any games this summer? No. And that's so weird because that team at the end of last year, if I just look at the Mason Millers and the Lawrence Butlers and the Brent Rookers and a lot of players that I started to gravitate towards and the Zach Geloffs, I'm like, I like those players. Casey, was such a shame. This was a team that I would have liked. The players that are starting to form all over again. But I kind of had to write it off and just say, this is something that I'm going to cut myself off from. I'm just going to give up on it. Yeah, no, I personally have no interest. To your point, if professionally it's a situation I land in and that's part of my responsibilities and part of the job, of course I'll do it. I'm also here on this YouTube channel still following just the overall situation, but I've kind of made it a thing here on this channel to cover a lot of interesting sports teams and situations, and relocation is a huge part of it. Uncertainty is a huge part of it. The business of sports is part of what I do here on YouTube now. So because I've diversified, it still kind of falls in the net of things I'll cover. So I will talk about it here on YouTube. I will still follow the A's story. There's too many people that are interested in just kind of seeing how it goes. It's almost like you see a car driving erratically, and you don't just like say, okay, well, that was interesting. You kind of figure out, where did that car go? Did it turn the corner and fall off the cliff? Like you have to have some type of closure. At least I do personally. So I'm kind of curious to see how this all shakes out. So I will still follow it. But if you're asking me, will I watch a game for the A's in Sacramento? No. Will I go to a game on my own will, on my own personal time? Absolutely not. I can find a lot better things to do in the summer months. And yeah, I'm just kind of done with all that. You know, I really am. I think it's probably something that if I wasn't professionally tied to it for the last couple of years, I would have personally given up on it a long time ago. And that's why I don't fault people who, you know, when I met them in person in 2021, 22, 23, 24, and they said, I used to be an A's fan, but I'm not anymore. You know, the natural instinct is to try and talk them back into it and to still be connected with them. But over time, I just realized, you know what, you gotta let them go. And I would have let myself go a long time earlier. So I don't see it happening, man. And to your point, when somebody asks me, like, well, two things. The initial question used to be, when I was still working for NBC, is, are you going to follow the team? Are you going to move to Vegas? And it's no knock against Las Vegas, and it's no knock against Sacramento, but I'm just a Bay Area person. This is where I'm from. This is my home. Sorry, like, I don't care really what this is. It would have to be so enticing, so lucrative that I couldn't say no, that I would go move somewhere else. It's no offense to those places. It's just, this is me, where I'm from, where I'm at. I'm not moving. I've made that choice a long time ago. Look at my career. I mean, in a sense that I've never explored other options to go anywhere else. So when people say, would you going to move to work for the team, continue to do that? Absolutely not, number one. And then the other one, you know, is, hey, you're going to go up and watch some games? And somebody suggested, like, yeah, you should come up, and it'll be healing for you to come watch an A's game in Sacramento. It's still the baseball team that you love. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. When you get divorced, I don't think you continue typically to go out to dinner with your ex. You just don't. You cut it off. That's the end, you know? So that's where I stand.
Yeah, like, I'll go to Sacramento to watch a Kings game. Like, I love Golden One Center. But I'm certainly not going to watch an A's game. And I think that what you said was really important, and we can end on this if you want, but I think Sacramento is an amazing market, and I think it could be an MLB market. And what they did to save the Kings and the Kings franchise there, I think is spectacular. I'm excited about what they have cooking with the MLS. I'm actually, you know, I'm not super against Vegas either. Like, I went out there for the Super Bowl, and I talked to a lot of people out in Vegas throughout this process. And I've always said, I think Vegas would be an awesome major league sports market as well. Already is for NHL, already is for NFL, going to be soon for NBA. I think MLB absolutely should be there. I just don't think it should be there like this.
Right.
So I don't want people to misconstrue, and sometimes they do, what we say.
Right.
Like, I have nothing against Sacramento. I have nothing against Vegas. I just don't like the way this situation played out for the A's in those markets.